This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Final hour of the program here on a Thursday. Jensen Lewis alongside Keith Irizarry in for Super Dave Ross, finishing up his vacation today and tomorrow. He will be back with us on Monday. And traditionally, Keith, on Mondays, we are graced by the one and only Cody Decker. We get a 2-for-1 this week. We're bringing it back. And Cody Decker, of course, co-host of Beadle and Decker, joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Give him a follow at Decker6. Codeman, I know we wanted to get the Coneheads picture because as people watching on the VSiN Watch app, VSiN.com, can see just three well-shaved, well-groomed gentlemen of leisure right now. But, buddy, great to have you for a second time this week. How you doing?
Just a bunch of bald, jacked men talking some ball, people. This is the best show that could possibly exist. Three thumbs screaming about Ohtani.
It's true. I want to peel back the curtain here because Cody and I have known each other for a really long time. We hosted a show called Buff Bets for a while. There was an Instagram video that was out there a couple of months ago I saw. It was a young lady and her boyfriend, husband, whatever, and he's obviously a jack dude. And she says to him, "Oh, did you stop working out your shoulders?" And he's like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And he starts looking at the mirror, right? And he's like, No, I'm not. And she goes, No, like you leaning out a little bit. He goes, "No, I'm in a bulk right now. What are you talking about?" So the reason I bring that up is to say this. We get on camera, and the first thing Mr. Schmedium T-shirt says to me is, your jacket might look a little big. I will now tell you that I'm self-conscious. I want to, I want to bench press, I want to shoulder press, and you've ruined my day. Thanks, Cody.
Listen, Keith, I don't want to sit here and just point out the obvious that clearly you've been slacking in the gym, but the cojones on you, sir, the cojones on you to say schmedium. This is an XL. I'm sorry you're not used to seeing somebody fill out said XLs.
Youth XL. Youth XL makes sense.
Just because Roan runs a little small, you stop it with my New York athleisure, sir.
Very good. Oh, my goodness. All right, speaking of athleisure, we have actual athletes on the mound and on the field tonight. And again, Cody, this one of the showdown series here, 4-game set beginning in the desert, Dodgers and Diamondbacks. We mentioned it in our Daily Diamond that Yoshi Yamamoto has just been a wrecking ball for opposing offenses, especially away from Chavez Ravine. Just one earned run allowed in 24 innings pitched on the road. Set this up for us in your eyes tonight. Pretty handily a favorite here, the Dodgers, minus $1.66 on the money line, total of 9, and the Diamondbacks a plus 140 dog behind Brandon Pfaadt at home.
Yeah, I think part of this is not just the Yamamoto of it all, and I also think it's the Brandon Pfaadt of it all. Now, I'm not saying that Brandon Pfaadt is any type of slouch whatsoever. He's a phenomenal pitcher, but at the end of the day, the Dodgers, up and down this lineup, even the guys that are on the IL, even the guys that aren't even available, have amazing numbers against Brandon Pfaadt. And Kike Hernandez not in there tonight, but he's got great numbers. And you look at Mookie Betts. I know it's a little bit cheating because, as you all know, I put a bet on Mookie Betts nearly nightly, and frankly, he's got great numbers against him. Austin Barnes not available, but he's got great numbers. Freddie Freeman's got great numbers, 308 and 13 at bats with a home run. Conforto is hitting like 600 off the cat. Quite frankly, like I've always said, just drop a pen on the Dodgers lineup, and whoever it lands on, just take 1.5 total bases on the over, and you're probably going to have a nice night.
Cody, from a baseball betting standpoint, and you've been really on top of this for many years now, how often do you, when you start and you're looking at, hitter props, batter props, are you immediately going to batter versus pitcher, or is there another thing you're looking at first?
The first thing I will look at is, one, their recent trends and how they've been hitting. So I want to take a look at their previous 20 at-bats. That's the first thing I'll take a look at. Then I'll take a look at basically their matchups if they have a type of history against said pitcher. I'm a big fan of playing those. As a guy that's played, trust me, those numbers are not there for nothing. Those are very important numbers to actually do. Quite frankly, any pitcher I ever faced, I had every result I ever had against them. I knew what pitch sequences they threw me. I knew what pitches they had. I knew what they were trying to do to get me out. And I try to do the exact same approach in this one. And then I go to the books and I basically break down the books on where I find some value. I always mention 1.5 total bases because total bases, even to this day, is probably still the best baseball bet that exists. Hits plus runs plus RBIs has really kind of piqued my interest over these last couple of years as well. But it's just funny to me that even to this day, most of the books don't understand that total bases and hits are not the same thing. I know that, and I am wealthier because of that.
It is a great point because, Cody, even for me as a former pitcher, when I look at some of these particular matchups and then the recency bias of it, I'm like you. Like, again, there are certain guys in certain parks that see the ball well. There are certain guys that see certain pitchers well. And then conversely, you have guys that are just on absolute heaters the way that Yamamoto is, and it doesn't matter who comes up to the batter's box. I want to focus on the Diamondback side of it. Ketel Marte just coming back off the IL this past week and has been, one of the consistent guys throughout the last couple of weeks. The dynamic with him and Corbin Carroll, because Corbin Carroll's had an unbelievable year thus far. As a hitter, what would be your handicap looking for those guys, potentially maybe at a plus money scenario going up against Yamamoto, who has been just utterly ridiculous on the road?
I mean, I think anyone that bets against Corbin Carroll bets against them at their own peril. I think this is, honestly, I know I just hammered the Dodgers quite heavily right there, as anybody in the world should, but the Diamondbacks are a playoff team. I go as far as saying that either the Diamondbacks are the second best or third best team, not just in the National League West, in the National League. I really believe in this team, even though currently, as we currently stand, what are they currently fourth in the National League West? But that differential is 2.5 games at the moment, so plenty of time to go. Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte is as good of a 1-2 punch in a lineup in Major League Baseball. Do I wish they still had a Christian Walker in that 3 spot? Absolutely. But the guys that they have in place are doing a hell of a job. Ketel Marte is a perennial MVP candidate. Absolutely hammer everything with him possible. And he actually has decent numbers, even though it's only a small sample size of 6 at-bats. He's hitting .500 against Yamamoto.
Did you get into the futures market with any of the awards before the season? And if not, are you hopping in now? And bad journalism, I'm asking 2 questions, and I'm going to ask a third one as well. Would Juan Soto be a third person that you'd want to get involved in? So there's 3 questions in one. Horrible journalism. Let's see if you can answer all 3, though.
I will freely admit I stayed away from the futures market because I wanted to see how teams and players would react. And I honestly had a massive question mark around the American League side on 2 things, both the Cy Young and the MVP. I mean, Aaron Judge is an obvious choice, but I don't want to take a minus money bet on a guy to win the MVP in 7 months from now. So I'm not even touching that. Juan Soto is an interesting choice because let's be real clear here. Did he have a great April? No. You know who had the worst April of their lives last year? Aaron Judge, who went on to hit 58 home runs and absolutely taking the MVP. It's a long, long season. April means absolutely nothing. That's why I love it when people keep coming up to me or calling in. What do you think the Mets are going to do? You think they're going to stay in first place? Bro, it's May 8th. That's the answer. And stop asking that question for the next 3 months.
Great stuff. Cody Decker, co-host to Beadle and Decker.
Jump in. Oh, wait, real quick. Yes, I will jump in. Paul Skeens. I think Paul Skeens will win the Cy Young. I should absolutely jump on Paul Skeens. But the problem is the value's not there for Paul Skeens. So I don't know where the value is. I'm just going to watch the season continue.
No question about it. Again, Cody Decker joining us, co-host of Beadle and Decker on the Progressive Guest Line. I know I've asked you just a 30,000-foot look at this division overall. I think you and I both agree, and we've talked about it in previous weeks, that the National League remains pretty top-heavy. Outside of what we've seen from the Dodgers thus far in the Diamondbacks, the Padres, tough way to lose on a walk-off yesterday in the Bronx against New York. A bit of a showdown series for them as well. They've been unbelievable at home. Do we still handicap the West there? And we'll throw the Giants into it because I know you and I have talked about that as well. Do we get 4 playoff teams at this juncture? Do we get 4 playoff teams from the West? Or if you had to leave one out and call your shot now, who misses the postseason from the West?
San Francisco Giants miss the postseason from the West if there is a team from the West that misses the postseason. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let's start over. The Colorado Rockies are not making the postseason. And the Giants might not also. It depends on what's going to happen to the trade market and the trade value when things go forward. The problem is, as you're looking at, you mentioned top heavy, the entire National League West, with the exception of the Rockies, is going to be looking for some arms and for some bats. The Giants absolutely could use another arm and definitely another bat. The Diamondbacks absolutely going to be on the lookout. The Padres going to be on the lookout. The Dodgers are always active in the market. The problem is the opposite side. Who are the sellers? The Marlins, maybe the Pirates, and the Rockies. There's no one on the Rockies I want that I think can bolster my team. I don't know what the Pirates are going to sell anybody because it's a young team that they have control of. And the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara's got like a 9 ERA, and outside of that, I got nothing. The fact of the matter is, the expansion of the playoffs has made the trade market very weird going forward because we got 28 buyers and 2 sellers.
It's amazing, right? And just one last one, we'll get you out of here on this. As you look at the National League pennant futures, no shocker, we still have the Dodgers as a top betting choice plus $1.50. If I gave you 3 teams to pick from between the Mets at plus 475, the Phillies at 7-1, or the Cubs at plus 850, who do you hitch your wagon to and why?
Phillies. And the reason why, and it's the same reason why I never picked them in October, though. It's the same exact reason. I pick them all the time because those bats will carry them all the way to October. And then all it takes is 3 games where the bats are cold and they fall to pieces because, quite frankly, that team is based on the long ball. And if the long ball stops working, the Phillies fall. That being said, they have a good pitching staff. They've been there. They have done it. And I'm waiting for the Mets to kind of come to reality with that pitching staff just a little. But that being said, it's the Phillies, dude. I always worry about the Phillies. Everyone should always worry about the Phillies.
Dodgers and D-backs tonight beginning a 4-game set. Yoshi Yamamoto minus $1.66 with LA as the road favorite. Diamondbacks at Brandon 5 plus $1.40 on the comeback. CD, always great to catch up with you. We'll talk to you on Monday as we always do. Have a great rest of your week.
You too, and thank you.
Gentlemen of leisure on the stroll. All right, we will have more as we come back with VSiN By The Books. Jonathan Davis talks all things puck next here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
VSiN By The Books, Jensen Lewis and Keith Irizarry with you. Rest of today and tomorrow. We will have Jonathan Davis, of course, our friend here on the program, talking next segment on the NHL postseason. Give us his plays that he has in pocket, a little reaction to what's happened already on the ice. But right now, we ask that pertinent question, is it news or is it noise?
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
We've had silly season pass, at least as far as the NFL draft and all the rumors and the speculation. We finally got a trade, and it is a significant one for the parties that are involved. We learned yesterday that the Dallas Cowboys have acquired George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We broke that news right here on VSiN By The Books. The compensation that will head back is a 3rd-round pick and some late-round pick swaps for both clubs. Now, of course, the talking heads on some of the national shows got all up in arms and maybe delusions of grandeur in their own right. So I ask you, Keith Irizarry, about this statement. George Pickens makes the Cowboys one of, if not the most balanced offense in football. No, that was not from our very own Dave Ross. That was from Emmanuel Acho of Fox Sports. I ask you, Keith, is that news or just a whole lot of noise?
I mean, maybe it's news because it is noise. I mean, come on. I like Dak Prescott a lot. I really do. And CeeDee Lamb is an excellent wide receiver. The offensive line is going to have to revamp itself a little bit. You don't have a running game. And George Pickens, For as talented as he is, there's a reason why he's moving to his second team. I don't understand. And just give me the quote again. It's NFL or NFC? Like all of football, correct?
The most balanced in football. George Pickens makes the Cowboys one of, if not the most balanced offense in football.
I'll give you this. Here's what I'll give you. They're the third most balanced offense in the NFC East.
Yes, I would agree. And by the way, there was just a slight odd shift. Remember yesterday, the Cowboys were plus 750 to win the NFC East. They've now shifted to 7-1. So a little bit of a buy on the Cowboys to win the East. Not much. Nothing changed for the Pittsburgh Steelers, sending George Pickens away. They still remain plus 550, the third betting choice to win the AFC North. More importantly, and I'm glad you kind of segued to it because it's the overall look here of the NFC, right? Eagles still 3-1 to repeat as not only NFC champions to get back to defend their Super Bowl. The Lions plus 475. The Commanders right there in the AFC East. They are second in the NFC East as far as the betting choice for the NFC overall at 8-1. The Cowboys to win the NFC, Keith, 28-1. Any interest at this point, even with a backfield that looks like Javonte Williams and Jaden Blue at the moment, any interest to buy on them long-term to win the NFC?
No. Sorry, no. I mean, you want me to give you a better answer? I mean, I can go further. I did that on purpose.
That's good.
No, I mean, listen, I like the Eagles better than the Cowboys. I like the Commanders better than the Cowboys. I like, if we're going to go just big picture, the Lions better than the Cowboys, the Packers better than Cowboys, the Rams better than Cowboys. Who else am I missing? Potentially the Bears better than the Cowboys. I mean, like, what I'm doing here is telling you there's probably like 7 teams I would like better than the Cowboys. Now, could something change? Could there be major injuries for some of those teams ahead of them? Sure. Could, I don't know, like, to someone come out of retirement? I guess there's things, but as we sit here Thursday, May 8th, no, I'm good.
Cowboys win total slightly
Dave Ross.
to the over. Yeah, 7.5, minus $1.20. The under 7.5 still at even money. Okay, we have a new mascot selection in the National Hockey League. The Utah Hockey Club no more. Welcome in after a 13-month process, I should say, to the Utah Mammoth. Now, Keith, I ask you, is it news or noise that it took 13 months to get a mascot and a logo that looks very similar in some regards to another existing one like the Nashville Predators?
So I want to go back and forth on this one in my mind frame here. So one, I actually kind of like the logo. I like the tusks. I do, right? It is news because you had, a new, technically not a new organization, but a relocation. So a new team, right? And you're trying to come up with a good name. Now, Mammoth was interesting because technically it should be Mammoths, right? With an S. But then we get the reasoning for this. It's intended to symbolize a unified team, so you don't need the S. It is deliberately singular, represents one team, all in, and all of Utah. So I get it. And as a Hofstra alum, when I was there my freshman and my sophomore year, because I can say that because I went to Hofstra, we were the Flying Dutchmen. Cool nickname, cool like everything it was very different. Switched to Pride, right? And Pride was a pack of lions, but also a feeling you have for your university. And I didn't love it then. It's grown on me now. I think Mammoth can be kind of cool. I mean, it obviously an homage to like the Ice Age and that animal was there and stuff like that. So my initial response, and I love that you're like smiling a lot about this. My initial response was like, aren't they missing the S? But then they told me the reason, and I'll feel like maybe I'll be okay with it down the road. Right now, I kind of wish the S was there, but I get why they did it.
With all precincts reporting more than 850,000 votes cast amongst the community, and the Mammoth selected there to be the new name of the Utah Hockey Club. Hashtag Tusks Up. Not sure if that will change the future price for them to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup next season. What we do know, Keith, is that we have a couple of great games on the ice. We'll catch up with Jonathan Davis coming up in a moment, but a great place to watch these hockey playoffs is none other than Stadium Swim right at Circa. And the package right now, we've been talking to you about it for the last couple of weeks. It is the all-in package at Circa Las Vegas. $400 gets you a 2-night stay at Circa, a $100 dining credit, a $100 beverage credit, and as we mentioned, at Stadium Swim, you get your very own daybed. Party never stops there, as you all well know. $400 also includes your resort fees and taxes. Limited time offer, though, and it's going quick. Stays between May 26th, September 4th. Lock it in now, your all-in summer package at circalasvegas.com. Mention the games that we have tonight. If you're just joining us, last night the Maple Leafs get past the Florida Panthers 4-3 to take a 2-0 series lead in that one. The Dallas Stars get another hat trick from Mikko Rantanen. They beat Winnipeg and Connor Hellebuck 3-2 to go ahead in game one of that series. Those games will move on to their next series. Game 3 for Florida and Toronto will happen tomorrow at Sunrise, in Sunrise, Florida, I should say. Panthers now taking on some money. They're a minus 238 on the money line. Toronto on the comeback plus 195. That total just 5.5. Also, the Stars and the Jets will get underway for game 2 of their series tomorrow. Jets minus $1.18 as the favorite there. Stars minus $1.02 on the comeback. Also, the total 5.5. Keith, we have Carolina, Washington, Edmonton, VGK tonight. We will catch up with Jonathan Davis coming up in our next segment on that. But as we look at the hockey playoffs in and of itself right now, satisfied with where we are, or wishing that we had maybe a team or two that was eliminated in round 1 that would have advanced to round 2?
I'm insanely satisfied with these hockey playoffs. We've seen crazy comebacks. We have seen teams that we want to move on. I think that we have enough stars out there, because that's the issue with the NHL, right? And again, as the guy who works for NHL Network, I love the sport, but I do understand that sometimes these stars are not shining enough. I don't mean the Dallas Stars. I mean the superstars on the big stages. And we have a lot of big names that the hockey fan can get behind, and hopefully the casual sports fans can get behind too. Really quickly, remember, if you believe in Mikko, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but if you have like $100 and you just kind of like, whatever, I just want to do it. $65 on him to score a goal, plus it gets you $130. $25 on him to get 2, $350. $10 to get a hat trick, gets you to $950. Just saying. I'm just saying.
You mentioned the Stars. They are the co-betting favorites with the Hurricanes, plus 350 to hoist the cup. The Capitals, who had the most points in the regular season, they're the longest shot at 17-1. What does it all mean? We ask our resident veteran and expert, Jonathan Davis. He joins us next to talk all things of what we saw yesterday, what we will see tonight, and some fabulous angles that have been red hot. Stay right here. VSiN By The Books when you come back.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
Fun here on a Thursday edition of VSiN By The Books. Jensen Lewis, Keith Irizarry in for Captain America. Super Dave Ross will be back on Monday, enjoying some R&R in Virginia Beach. A guy that we wish we could do remote shows near the beach where he resides is our great friend of the program, Jonathan Davis. He joins us on the Progressive Guest Line, talking all things puck. Follow him on Twitter at West Coast HKY. JD, it has been so great to have you. It has been even better to just tail you throughout this hockey season and into the postseason. Let me ask you yesterday about the change from Stolarz, and again, we know the injury issues there, probably the right move, but Joseph Woll to step in that spot and have the performance that he did to get the Maple Leafs up 2-0. What does it mean for you, not only for that performance, but your expectations for the netminder moving forward for the Maple Leafs?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. It's not a surprise. I mean, I've been touting Joseph Wall for the past 3 years as the Leafs' best goalie in their system, and he was that until Anthony Stolarz came to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Look, Joseph Wall is now 5-2 in the playoffs in his career. He's got a goals against average of just over 2, a save percentage of .920. It's not a surprise. So no, I'm not shocked. And look, the better goalie has been on the Toronto side. I mean, last night was rough, and it's been a rough series for Bobrovsky, who was really good against Tampa, but gave up 2 goals on 6 shots last night, 3 goals on 9 shots, I think it was. And then the 4th goal, Paul Maurice, after the game, was not the Panthers coach, not very happy with it. So, Florida has struggled with their goaltending in this series, and the Maple Leafs have just capitalized on their opportunities. This is a team that used to bend and then break. Toronto, they're not breaking anymore under head coach Craig Berube.
Yeah, JD, I think it's tough sometimes to kind of forget what you've seen from Toronto over the last decade or so. Let's just go recency. Is it sustainable though? Because you look at yesterday, the Panthers outshot the Leafs. The Leafs win the face-off battle. Leafs get a bunch of blocks in the block shots in the game. Is that sustainable against the Panthers to close out the series and win the 4 games you need to win?
Well, I'm going to use the line from former head coach Alain Vigneault. My goalie's better than yours, I win. Your goalie's better than mine, you win. So, yes, I do think it is. And look, the other factor for this series is that Toronto's top 2 players, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, really haven't been much of a factor. I know, yes, Marner did score what ended up being the game-winning goal yesterday on a goal that Bobrovsky should have had. But they're getting depth scoring are the Maple Leafs. They've had 11 different players score a goal and 18 different players score a point. So, yeah, I do think it's sustainable, especially if they end up, if they continue to get the better goaltending.
Maple Leafs minus 230 now to win that series, up 2-0. Florida plus $1.90 on the comeback. They get underway for Game 3 tomorrow at Sunrise, or in Sunrise. I always want to say at Sunrise. They will not play. If they do that at Sunrise, we are in deep trouble. But minus 238 already on the money line. The Panthers are heavy favorite at home, total of 5.5. JD, yesterday, Mikko Rantanen continues to be on an absolute heater. A hat trick in one period to put Dallas ahead for good and take care of Connor Hellebuyck in Winnipeg. Size up this series for us, because it feels like now Dallas is on that heater. Jake Ottinger looking pretty solid. What do you assess now for where the Stars are up 1-0 against the Jets?
Well, I think Mikko Rantanen just scored another goal as we speak, guys. It's been remarkable. And, he's got a history of torching Winnipeg in the playoffs. I think it's now 5 goals and 7 assists in 6 games against the Jets over these last 2 playoff years, going back to his days with Colorado. Look, Connor Hellebuyck said before the series that, the monkey's off his back. And, in fairness to Connor Hellebuyck last night, like the 3 goals that Rantanen scored, one was on the seat of his pants, one was a deflection from about 20 feet out, and the other one went off one of the Winnipeg players. So it wasn't a bad night for Connor Hellebuyck. The way I approach this series, look, it's now 7 of 8 games that Connor Hellebuyck has given up at least 3 goals. So the safe approach to me is that as long as I can get a decent number on Dallas's team total at over 2.5, I'll continue to ride that prop there. On the Winnipeg side, from the way I'll approach it from Winnipeg, when it comes to home games, Kyle Connor, he didn't get on the sheet last night, but he has been dominant at home. And Mark Scheifele has got, I think it's now 24 career playoff goals for the Winnipeg Jets. That is number 1 in the franchise. So I'll continue to ride his goal prop.
JD, I'm hammering this to all of our viewers and listeners out there. I want your take on this. So if you believe in Mikko magic, Mikko Rantanen to score a goal, anytime goal, is plus money, right? So what if you took $100 and you said $65 on him to score a goal, get you $130, $25 get you $350, $10 on the 3 goals get you $950. So if you were to get a hat trick, you would end up walking away with over $1,400.
All right, let's do it. I mean, why not? Ride the train. I mean, what do we say? Right? Trends are our friends until they're not. So, yeah, I'm in. Don't see any reason why you want to pass it up. I think it's a good way to play the Rantanen props.
All right.
Jensen,
Speaking of trends,
I gotta take her, Jensen. I gotta take her.
I'm telling you, if you like that, let me interest you in what JD has for us next, especially in this this overall scheme. Set it up for us, JD, because a couple of these props, and they have been white hot for you. The rationale, again, Caps to score the first goal of the game is the one. We'll start with the early game, Canes and Caps. Carolina up 1-0 in this series against Washington. A reasoning behind what you like, and then also you're back in the home dog here for the Caps to get the equalizer.
Yeah, so what we've found, a trend that I've been following through the playoffs is the team that's coming off the loss has scored a goal in 26 of the next 40 games. So I'm going to take them. I'll take Washington to score first tonight. You know, for a while we were riding first goal, first period, but that one is pretty much at about 500. You're going to end up being, you'll be losing money on that prop. But first goal of the game for the team that loses will be on Washington. I do like the Caps tonight. Look, they were thoroughly dominated. On shots on goal, they got destroyed. It was 33-14. They were outchanced a ridiculous 94-34. That's cuckoo. Now Carolina will take shots from everywhere, so those numbers can be a little skewed. The one goal that Freddie Anderson did give up was not very good, and that's something we're used to seeing from Freddie. Look, I still think Washington at plus money on home ice. I think they bounce back. I think they're worth a play. I still like the first goal play more than I like the Caps, but at plus money, I'll take the home dog in this one.
How about Edmonton and Vegas? How are you going to play this one?
Well, first period over 1.5 is the number one play for me. All 7 Golden Knights games in the playoffs have gone over in the first period. And again, same theory. Vegas is coming off of a loss, so we'll play them to score a goal in the first period as well. So those are the two ways I'll attack that one. I'll look at Corey Perry again. I had him in game 1 to score a goal. You can get him around at least at plus 290 was one number I did see for an anytime goal. He's playing on the top line with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Hey, even by accident, Perry can score a goal. You and I could score a goal playing with those two guys. So I do like that. And then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, it's minus about 110 to get a point, but he's got 6 points in the playoffs. He plays on the second power play unit. I like that one as well. On the Vegas side, I got to wait to see what happens with their injury report because Alex Pietrangelo and Pavel Dorofeev, their best defenseman and their leading goal scorer, both didn't play in game 1. They didn't practice yesterday, but they haven't been ruled out for tonight's game. So I got to hold off on the Vegas side. I'll have more, when I have my write-up a little later today. Hopefully by that time we'll have some clarity on who's in and who's out for the Golden Knights.
Yeah, must read stuff here on VSiN.com. Again, Jonathan Davis joining us for another minute. The Knights minus $1.48 on the money line to get the series equalizer. JD, I'm a sucker for puck lines. I did lay I did take the puck line for VGK plus $1.85. It's now down to plus $1.70 here on DraftKings. So hopefully VGK out in force tonight. Hey, just 30,000 foot view right now. The Stars and the Hurricanes co-betting favorites at plus 350 to hoist the cup. The Capitals 17-1, most points in the regular season. Make it make sense for me, JD. Does it align with where you see how the favorites should be as far as the odds go right now?
Well, look, before the playoffs started, my pick was strictly on value. I had the Maple Leafs in the final. I still think they're the best team in the East. I'm not buying Carolina. I'm not buying Washington. I think the winner. I think whoever advances to the East from the final comes from Toronto, Florida. On the West, yeah, look, Dallas looks really good, but man, the way what Edmonton has done with 5 come-from-behind victories, 5 straight wins, they're a different team. And one quick thing on Edmonton, they're a +4 when Connor and Leon are not on the ice. They were -20 in the regular season.
Great stuff, buddy. Caps to score the first goal, Caps money line, Vegas to score first, and Edmonton Vegas over the 1.5 in the first period. Always great catching up with you, JD. We'll talk again soon.
All right, boys. Thanks for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
Jonathan Davis on the Progressive Guest Line. Our best bets everywhere when you come back here on VSiN By The Books.
VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
Always great catching up with JD, Jonathan Davis from the West Coast. A great insight into his plays for tonight. And again, if you're just joining us, JD likes the Caps to score the first goal of the game and also the Capitals on the money line tonight in their contest against Carolina. Also, VGK to score first against Edmonton, as well as that first period over 1.5 there. So that Jonathan Davis's plays there for the NHL games tonight. Our best bets tonight brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Keith, we've got a myriad of plays to go through. I give you the floor, sir. Some great angles. You nailed the Jaylen Brown one yesterday. That one going away. What do you like across the landscape tonight?
So I want to give you a bunch. Let's see if we can land on what we like the best, but I do like all three of these. So let's start on the diamond. Corey Seager, I'm going to go over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, a little bit juicy at -135 on DraftKings was the best price I could find. But a 5-game hitting streak, so we like that. We know there's a streak and a trend. 5 consecutive games in which he's topped this number, the over 1.5 hits, runs, and the RBIs. And then just as simple as if you want to look at who he's facing, Brian Bayo, he's 4 for 11 against him. That's a .364 batting average, has a double, has a pair of walks. The reason I mentioned the walks is because if you walk and get on base, you could literally go 0 for 3 with 2 walks, but score 2 runs, and that would hit us our prop. So it's just something to pay attention to. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. I want to bring it back. I really like this one a lot. Anthony Edwards, over 6.5 first quarter points. Again, a little bit juicy, around -150. Averaged 7.5 points per game in first quarters throughout the regular season. And we heard Coach Finch talk about, his struggles. Anthony Edwards didn't come out. He's got, if you want to be a leader, you want to be a hero, you want to be a superstar, all this kind of stuff, right? So I think Anthony Edwards, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for like 10 or 12 in the first quarter. I wouldn't be surprised if he tops 20 by halftime. But the bet here is the over 6.5 first quarter points. And then we'll land on Hurricanes and the Capitals. We're going to go under 5.5 goals in this one, basically even money. 5 or less total goals have been scored in 4 of the 6 playoff games that these two teams have been a part of. Logan Thompson in net for the Capitals. He's been excellent, 2.17 goals against during the postseason. And Frederik Andersen, he's been really good as well, giving up 1 or less goals in 4 of his 5 starts during the postseason. So I think the under 5.5 might actually be my favorite play there. What say you?
I love it, dude. And again, when you think about where that series is at this point, a boatload of shots that never even got on net by Carolina in game 1. Let's see if that trend continues, and perhaps that will be one thing that you look at for the Capitals to try and continue to clog those shooting lanes to reduce those opportunities yet again in game 2. Speaking of opportunities, if you want to jump in on any of our best bets, we highly recommend you get the G-Bank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook transactions and gaming transactions as cash advances. That's not the case here with G-Bank because they treat those as purchases. So you're saving almost 3 to 5% on those cash advance fees on those gaming transactions alone. Also, G-Bank gets you 1% cashback rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all eligible purchase. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Okay, Keith, here's what I have, and I'm going across the board as well, a cornucopia of options for people. Let me start the association. I very much feel what we saw with the Thunder last night is where the sense of urgency will be with the Timberwolves tonight. So I did lay the 10.5 against Golden State. I am anxious to see not only the adjustment Steve Kerr makes, knowing no Steph Curry there for at least game 2 and game 3 potentially, but who steps up. And it was Buddy Hield when Steph was out in the second half, but I do think that your play with Anthony Edwards lines up very much with my overall feel. I do think the Timberwolves win running away, and that Steve Kerr may wave the white flag earlier than anticipated. I'm with you on the Hurricanes game, but I do think that the Hurricanes, and again, I'm a sucker for a puck line. I'll take Carolina plus 190, minus 1.5 goals against the Caps. I'm also going on VGK. I think they get the series equalizer against Edmonton, plus $1.85 if you think VGK wins by 2 or more. JD's always had a great idea, too. If you believe the game gets decided by at least 2 goals, you can play the alternate puck line too. So maybe an angle for you to look at if you like Edmonton tonight. We talked with Cody Decker about the Dodgers and the Diamondback series showdown spot that gets underway. 1st to 4, Yoshi Yamamoto against Brandon Pfaadt. I will take 2 Dodger hitters for 2 or more total bases. Shohei Ohtani minus $1.45 against Brandon Pfaadt. Also, Michael Conforto, who has had great numbers individually, 2 or more total bases at plus $1.45. So I do think we get a bit of offense to continue from LA. They were gangbusters against the Marlins pitching staff for the majority of that series. I think we get a carryover effect for that tonight. One more, Keith, for you already in pocket for tomorrow. Now, I do think this spread probably elevates a bit. The Cavaliers were a 1.5 favorite against the Pacers when that spread opened. It's up to 2. But now this may be a little bit more of my heart than my head, but I'll take the Cavaliers minus $1.35 on the money line. I think this spread could go up a bit more if we find out any of Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter available for that Game 3 tomorrow night at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. We know it's a must-win, obviously. You don't want to go down 0-3. Keys for you, and let's look at it the NBA here for the teams down 0-2. So let's take the Celtics and the Cavaliers, both down 0-2 in their respective series. Which team do you feel, and let's assume that the Cavaliers get healthy here, which team do you feel better equipped to come back from their respective 0-2 deficit?
Are we going to say health for the Cavaliers is 2 out of 3 of those players? Is that fair?
Yes, we can do that. Yes.
Yeah, all right. So if the Cavaliers have 2 of the 3 guys that miss, whether it's Garland, whether it's Mobley, or whether it's Hunter, any of those 2, I really like them to win. Now, the Pacers are a really, really good basketball team. And I told you yesterday, there's something special about the way they all are bonded together. Last year, they made a little mini.
All right, we'll jump back here and get Keith here in just a moment. But I think as he was going to finding just exactly where, that Celtics group. And again, it's got to be about the adjustment for the three-point shot. Just over 100 three-point attempts. And even yesterday, watching into the fourth quarter, where there wasn't really even penetration into the lane. They were just settling for those perimeter shots. And even the final possession in which Jason Tatum, not the ideal high percentage shot you want, even to try and draw some contact and get to the free throw line down 1, to have the opportunity to force this thing into overtime. But Keith, I think for me, when we look at this Celtics series, there has to be a bit more interior presence, interior scoring. If they live and die by the 3, this thing is going to go sideways, especially going into enemy territory on this afternoon at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the Boston Celtics, though, seem like they love playing on the road, right? They seem like a kind of team, they win on the road, they thrive in those types of environments. I don't know, man. I go back and forth on this one, too. The whole season has been predicated on the three-point shot for the Boston Celtics. So to change what you've done all year long and done so well at this moment seems a little odd. Here's what I would say. Not change, adjust, make an amendment to. So instead of shooting 40 threes, how about shoot 32 threes? Instead, just cut it back just a bit and get inside just a bit. Try to be a little bit more of a bruising team, just a bit. Not telling you to turn around and be like, yeah, we're only going to take 8 3-pointers in the next game. It's not what you're built. It's not how you're built. But you can make a little change, a little adjustment.
Remarkable, and I just built this just for conversational purposes. If you want to take the series prices, the Celtics still $1.20 favorite at DraftKings, and the Cavaliers plus $1.70 to come back against the Pacers. Parlay those together, Keith, plus $3.95 on DraftKings to get both those teams to the Eastern Conference Finals. So kind of remarkable to see how that one pays out. Buddy, great to be with you again. We get a little casual Friday tomorrow. We will recap everything that happens on the ice and that single game we've got between the Warriors and the Timberwolves on the hardwood. Abbreviated slate, I should say, in Major League Baseball here this afternoon and tonight, but a full slate that we'll be able to preview and a lot of good weekend series that will get underway tomorrow as well. That is going to do it for this edition of VSiN By The Books. A lot of great guests again today. Always great to catch up with Greg Peterson. A 2-for-1 this week with Cody Decker, the maestro, Mike Palm, and of course the great Jonathan Davis. Stay tuned here on SiriusXM channel 158, as well as if you're watching on the VSiN Watch app. VSiN By The Books comes back tomorrow, but a numbers game follows us now. Gil Alexander will have Zach Cohen with his best bets in the NBA tonight. Money moves with Stormy Bonatoni and JVT, Jonathan Tobel at noon Eastern, and then prop points, Nick Whalen and Jeff Erickson get you guys started at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We will return tomorrow. For Keith Irizarry, I'm Jensen Lewis. So long, everybody. Talk to you on a Friday. It's been VSiN By The Books.